Well, hi, this is Doug Cogswell from ADVIZOR Solutions, and I'm going to be joined by Mike Foote from Dartmouth College in just a couple of minutes here, and we're going to talk about a prototype we built at Dartmouth, which we have now commercialized and have up and running at a number of our clients. It's about relationship mapping, and it's using the data that you already have to find the key connections. And this is most aligned to higher ed, where you have most depth of relational information in the database. And the concept is you select a person, an advisor will create a ranked list of other people with the strongest connection of that selected person. And this is useful, for example, in major giving. If you have a target prospect, you're trying to reach that person, you can figure out who is most likely to know that person, and that would then set up an invite by letter, maybe phone call, or a sit-down lunch or dinner or something to get the dialogue moving. And for example, and Mike's going to use this, I'm an alum of Dartmouth, so you can click on me. You get a list of other alums who I'm most likely to know and who are most likely to know me. The list will be ranked with a numerical score from top to bottom, and the factors that drive the score will be visible at the individual level. So you'll see, similar class, major, hockey team, the different things that connect us together. So Mike is going to join me in just a second here. He is the Executive Director of Research and Prospect Management at Dartmouth College. And so Mike, let's go. Take it away.
In thinking about what we wanted to demonstrate today, and in talking with Doug and his team about some of our new ideas, the concept of an in-house relationship mapping tool surfaced, and you'll see in a minute that what was ultimately developed and what was done under the same premise, really, of predictive modeling, and that is that we have data at our fingertips, and we want to utilize that data as much as possible in-house, rather than look towards outside tools. We've had some misses in this relationship mapping arena in the recent past. We've had some near hits. We utilize a couple of tools that touch on connections between one alumnus and another using publicly available data, skimming what's out there on the internet and saying, hey, this donor or this prospect or this alumnus once sits on the board over here with this other alumnus, but it doesn't get at the real heart of the relationship. And a lot of times we're not finding connections that way, or the connections that we do find are relatively weak from a leveraging standpoint. So I'll walk you through the concept, and that's very much what it is right now. It's a concept at this point of a new tool, and we'll show you the beta version. So similar to predictive modeling, we started with a question, and here the question is, who knows this alumnus or alumni? Who really knows who? So how many times have you sat, say, in a prospect strategy session where a prospect's being discussed and the question comes up of, how do we get this person engaged? And that typically leads to who knows them, what existing relationships can we use to begin leveraging that relationship and bring somebody closer to the institution. And that discussion of who knows who typically leads to what? The same names popping up. Well, maybe we can put, so-and-so on the case, they're respected, but that so-and-so doesn't have a deep relationship to open the door to this individual. So this project was looking to capture who really knows who within our own constituency based on our data. No one knows as much about our alumni than us. We feel the wealth of information we have on these folks is typically quite incredible and way much deeper than anything you might find in a typical corporate bio. We know where they went to high school many times. We know where they grew up. Certainly we know what year they graduated, and many times if they have graduate degrees. We know many times what sports they played and clubs they were in and fraternities or sororities they were in. And the list goes really on and on based on the wealth of data in our database. So experience has told us that when we look for connections to a specific alumnus, those that were closest to them while on campus are often those that remain closest to them years and years later. We wanted to build a system that brought those deep connections to the forefront. So here it is. Here's a rough view of what we were looking for. In this example, I've locked in on one specific alumnus in this case, our very own Doug Cogswell. And our question here is, who might Doug know well? So think of the scenario such as Doug has major capacity, but he's not engaged, or he's only slightly engaged. He's not returning an officer's phone call or emails where that officer is looking to set up an introductory meeting, perhaps. He hasn't come to any event in recent years, despite several attempts to get him there, and he's just a tough nut to crack. But on the other side, we have...
Wait a minute, Mike. This is getting a little bit lower right now, but keep going.
Yeah. So it's all hypothetical.
Yeah, all hypothetical. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. But we have, we know we have hundreds of other alumni that are engaged with the institution. So do any of them know Doug well enough to assist us in making an introduction and helping us get in the door with this particular alumnus? So what this tool does is digs into the database across a number of factors where Doug might have deeper interactions with other alumni, either while here on campus or elsewhere since his graduation. And it gives everyone in the database a score based on having similar factors, and we see those scores right here. So scanning that list of names, we might recognize a particularly more engaged alumnus that can help us get in the door with Doug. So Peter Mills, for instance.
Yeah, Mike, when you brought up Peter Mills, by the way, I was looking at this the other day. Actually, yeah, he would be a great guy to connect with me. I mean, I connected multiple ways on campus and over the years. So that actually is a great example of somebody who scores high, who I would take a call from, letter from. If he wanted to have lunch with me, I'd love to sit down and talk with him. So this actually worked for me.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I know we haven't chatted too much on this particular, on the results here, but we'll look to. That's exactly what we're trying to get at. Is the incidences where one alumnus knows another deeper than what might be out there on the internet, based on real data that's in our database and at our fingertips, and has a real historical, characteristic to it. So, Doug, you know Peter well. The data tells us you both graduated, of course, from at the same year here at Dartmouth. You both have Harvard MBAs in the same class. You were both engineering sciences majors. And, imagine this tool continuing to be developed where it's highlighting connections based on employment data beyond field of work, but touching on when two individuals worked at the same company during the same time, whether they dormed together while they were students here, or whether perhaps they live on the same street in the same town, either now or crossed over at one point, living on the same street. We're just simply trying to increase the yield rate of who knows who, and creating a tool where by simply entering one individual's name, we can get immediate feedback on who they are most likely to have relationships with. So yeah, we're excited about where the tool might lead. We're continuing to build it out. We're continuing to work with Doug and his team there in doing that. And we think, in fact, we're almost positive it'll have an immediate impact during strategy sessions that we have with our different officers in highlighting where we can begin leveraging relationships.
So thanks for joining us. There's a set of other resources listed at the top of this page, and then at the bottom are both Mike's and my contact information. So please feel free to contact us with any questions. We'd love to follow up. This is an area we think is really exciting. It can have a lot of potential, and we both love talking about it. So take care. Have a good day.